All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Adonis podcast. As I'm recording this, it is May 4th, which is International Star Wars Day. And I would like to personally congratulate myself for never having celebrated Star Wars Day. Now, I did watch the 9 movies and season 1 of The Mandalorian as a kid, but Star Wars just really wasn't something that I really got into. It certainly had memorable characters like Darth Vader, mostly Darth Vader, really. That's the only character I really liked. And a lot of people now complain that Star Wars has gone south, that it's all woke and gay because of Disney. But let's face it, Star Wars has never been fucking normal. In episodes 1 through 3, Anakin Skywalker is chasing after a girl who is decades older than him and doesn't love him. And in episodes 4 through 6, Luke Skywalker is incessantly in love with his sister. Oh, it's okay though because he doesn't know it's his sister. It's still fucking weird. Listen, if that happened in real life, which chances are it wouldn't, maybe I'd be a little bit more understanding. But Star Wars is not real life. Star Wars is a fantasy series, which means that somebody being George Lucas, had to think of the storyline where a brother incessantly falls in love with his sister. And here's another question. So he's in love with his sister. Then he finds out that's his sister. Did those feelings just go away? Like, is he still attracted to her? Because personally, if I find someone attractive, I'm usually, unless she changes her style or her appearance, for example, if a skinny girl gets fat, usually I'm attracted to that girl for life. Or for at least for a pretty good while. I might not like a girl because of her personality, but I can still acknowledge the fact that she's attractive. So what happened there? Like the fact that George Lucas really thought of this storyline where a brother fell in love with his sister and he reread the script and he approved the script and he said, yes, it is absolutely important that we put this in the movie. That's just fucking weird, dude. And I think that's why I never got into Star Wars, because you cannot convince me that that's not fucking weird. That's probably the weirdest part of the Star Wars series, is having a brother fall in love with his sister. Why the fuck was that necessary? And then here's another thing. Why the fuck did they release episodes 4 through 6 and then release episodes 1 through 3? That doesn't make any sense either. So yeah, Star Wars is fucking weird. Darth Vader's cool and all. It definitely has its fair share of cool lightsaber battles and villains, but overall, Star Wars fucking sucks. Okay, so in other news, I went 3 months without any police interactions, and that's about to change because there's another FSU student after my ass. And I can't share the details yet, but I would like to recap everything that the FSU community has done so far. So starting off with probably the worst thing that's happened to me is when those frat guys attempted to hit me with their car. Someone also attempted to break into my house. A frat guy named John he successfully stole my Annabelle doll and said it was fine because he was a Christian and he didn't like it. Florida State girls have gone to authorities to falsely accuse me of rape, stalking, and other heinous crimes. My apartment complex, which classifies as FSU student living, they tried to evict me over owning a doll. Let's see, what else? The list goes on and on and on. Oh yeah, they've come to multiple of my jobs that I've had over the years to try and get me fired for having a podcast, and they were almost successful in their last attempt. I mean, the list goes on and on. And their excuse for all of this is that what they're doing to me is okay because I'm a bad person. First of all, that's not how you deal with bad people. Secondly, what exactly have I done that's so bad? Make a podcast, state my political opinions, call out women for their tyranny and their double standard and their hypocrisy? Like, when you compare the stuff that I've done, which is basically nothing but advocate my freedom of speech, compared to what they're doing, which is literally acts of crime, I'm sorry, but they are the bad guys. I mean, anyone who looks at the logistics of it, or even if they disagree with what I'm saying, anyone can look at that storyline and they can 100% agree, if they have common sense, that FSU are 100% the ones in the wrong. And that whole excuse of, oh, but he's a bad person. Oh, but we don't agree with his podcast. Here's what you do if you disagree with someone or if you don't think that they're a bad person. You block them on social media, which apparently people don't know where the block button is anymore. You don't listen to the fucking podcast. I don't see anyone holding a gun to your head forcing you to listen to my podcast. So why are you taking time out of your life to listen to my podcast knowing that you're not going to agree with the things I say, and then you try and use it as an excuse to say, oh, you know what, he's actually a bad person. Let's go break into his apartment or try to get him evicted or get him fired from his job and do all these heinous things to him. But no, we're not the bad guys. He is, because I don't even know who half these people are. But apparently I'm a bad guy, so they can do whatever they want to me, and it's okay because I'm the bad guy. I did have to put in a police report for this current situation for legal purposes, but I don't have any confidence that the Tallahassee Police Department will actually do anything about it based off of my previous experience. Honestly, I'm probably just going to have to knock the guy out because the person who's currently after me has threatened me with bodily harm, and he is actively trying to track me down. So yeah, I'm probably just going to have to knock his ass out because this guy does not seem like he wants to just talk. But the Tallahassee Police Department, we all know they're lazy. No one in Tallahassee likes them. Matter of fact, because I have had countless conversations with people who have had to interact with the TPD, and literally no one likes them. You know, I should do a street poll where I interview random Tallahassee residents to see for myself and for the audience who actually likes and supports TPD, because literally no one likes them. And I think a lot of them are crooked, and I think a majority of them are lazy, because I can't help but notice that anytime I'm in a situation where whether I'm the one reporting or I'm the one being reported, because believe it or not, people will file a police report simply because my podcast is offensive. I literally have a text from some random number saying, I'm going to the cops about your podcast, it's offensive. Apparently being offensive is illegal according to some of these cunts' logic. So, this is why I say that TPD, they changed the narrative to kind of fit their own perspective, or rather, so they don't have to do their jobs. While I do think that there are times where they clearly side with others, I think a majority of it is simply because they're lazy and they're looking for any loophole they can find to not actually do their jobs and not do what they're supposed to do, which is serve and protect. And you know, I was originally against the liberals for trying to defund the police, and I thought it was hypocritical how they're usually the first ones to call the police whenever they have a problem. But now I understand it. I do not side with the liberals at all for anything. But at this point, when we have a police force that doesn't actually do their jobs, it doesn't do what they're supposed to do, which is serve and protect, our tax dollars are basically going down the drain. So either someone needs to fix that damn police department, or we need to just defend them. Because I am telling you, I've had countless situations with the police, and it literally does nothing. Every single time I get into a situation, well, we can document it, but we can't do anything past that. What's the point of documenting shit? Documenting doesn't stop the crimes from happening. Documenting doesn't put the criminals in justice. Documenting doesn't do shit. But that's all they do. They just document it and then go on about their day. They don't fucking do anything. And it fucking aggravates me. So I'll give you one example of the police officers clearly siding with someone else. I used to hang out at this nightclub called Club Recess, and out of nowhere, they used to be really nice to me, then out of nowhere, they started having issues with me. I don't know why, I don't know what I did, I tried to talk to them to figure out what I did. They didn't want to communicate, they just want to have a problem. And when I say they want to have a problem, every time I went there, like there was a time where the manager literally grabbed me by my shoulders, which I'm pretty sure that's assault, and shoved me out of his way. There's been times where they've come up to me, another time they tried to kick me out because they said that I didn't have my band on, which I did. I had my arms crossed, so it was kind of hidden. And when I showed him my band, he tried to say that I was trying to hide it for him. And I'm like, dude, like, people stand with their arms crossed. I think I also had a long sleeve shirt on too because it was like December and cold out. Like, just because I have my arms crossed or because I have a hoodie on, that does not mean that I'm trying to hide my band from you. Like, how do you think I got up here? Because, first of all, they have a security guard standing out their door to make sure you have a band on to get inside. So do you think that I just ripped off my band when I got in there? Or do you think that I snuck in there? Like, how do you think I got in this bitch? Every time I went there, I started having a problem. So I just stopped going altogether. And then every now and then, a friend of mine, which is pretty much only one friend I have that can actually drag me to places that I don't want to go to, they try and get me to go and they'd say, come with us to recess, come with us to recess. No, I'm not going. Because every fucking time I go there, for some reason, they have a problem with me. Like, it's gotten to the point where I don't interact with the staff unless I need to. I don't talk to the security. I don't talk to the bartenders. Like, I just go in, I hang out with my friends, I mind my fucking business. And they always have a problem with me. One day, I made a video ranting about my frustrations. And in that video, I was standing in my kitchen and I was holding a kitchen knife. There were actually several videos where I was talking about various subjects while I was doing shit in my kitchen and holding this knife. Recess saw the video, they called TPD, and they tried to get me arrested because they claimed that I was threatening them. The police called me and they said, threatening is a crime, treating me like I'm already guilty. And they brought up the recess video and I explained to him, first of all, we have Second Amendment rights. It's not illegal to hold a weapon of any kind on camera or in public. Secondly, I didn't actually threaten them. I just was voicing my frustrations with their business. And so he told me the conversation that he had with them, and so I got trespassed from recess, which I thought was pointless because I had already stopped going there for quite a while. But then the police officer tried to educate me on how what I did could be perceived as threatening. And I told him, I don't care if you perceive it as threatening. The bottom line is you can't arrest me because I didn't actually make a threat. To which he agreed and he said, if I had credible cause to arrest you, I wouldn't be talking to you on the phone right now. I'd just show up to your house and put you in handcuffs. And he kept trying to use these scare tactics on me to basically stop me from making these videos. Here's the thing, scare tactics do not fucking work on me. My last job tried to use scare tactics on me to tone down my podcasting. You know what I did? I quit my job. Scare tactics do not work on me. So I just stood my ground. I told the guy, I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't threaten anybody. If they want to think that I threatened somebody, that's on them. So at this point, the conversation is completely pointless because he's basically trying to convince me to stop. Bitch, I will make 10 more videos right now holding a knife and talking shit about recess. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Because you can't do shit. What is illegal is putting in a fake police report or lying to the authorities, which is something that Recess did, which is not only criminal, but is also makes them look extremely bad on their business. So instead of taking what I said into consideration and realizing their flaws and improving their customer service, they instead went to the police and they lied and they exaggerated the story to make it seem like I threatened them. Which is stupid because they showed the police officers the video, and before the police officer even called me, he told them that there were no threats made in that video, which is why I got a phone call and I wasn't placed into handcuffs instead. So number one, they're stupid. Number two, they quite literally lie to authorities. But the police officers don't care. The police officers were clearly in favor of Club Recess. Because if they were not in favor of Club Recess, if they were either on my side or if they... Let me back up. As a police officer, you're not supposed to take sides. You're supposed to come in with a neutral opinion. You're supposed to report the facts, not your opinion, and make a decision based on the facts. Who actually broke the law? Who actually started this? Who actually did something wrong? But TPD doesn't do that. They insert their opinions all the time. They try to give me advice all the time. You're not supposed to do that. That's not what we're paying you for. That's not your job as a police officer. So I'll give you another example. This is an instance where I don't think that the police were necessarily choosing sides. I think that they just didn't want to do their jobs. You all know this story. Jonathan Dean showed up to my job and threatened to knock my teeth in for shit that I didn't even fucking say. We had an internet feud about it where he kept threatening me and he kept trying to convince me to meet up with him and physically fight him. The police got involved and they ultimately said, well, no one's going to jail because you don't seem to be afraid of him. You don't seem to be afraid of him. I'm sorry. He's threatening me with bodily harm. He's trying to convince me to fight him. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter whether he's scared of me or not. He could track me down again and actually hurt me. That whether I'm scared or not has nothing to do with the fact that he clearly intends to physically hurt me. And then they try to say, well, you didn't call us when this happened, so there's nothing we can do about it. So let me get this straight. Because I didn't call you immediately, which, by the way, I specifically did it because I knew they weren't gonna do shit because this isn't my first rodeo. I guess my roommate's sick. So I didn't call because this isn't my first rodeo. I knew that they weren't going to do anything about it. So I said, what's the point of calling the cops? Jonathan was not the first person to try and hurt me, to track me down, to threaten me. I've been through this scenario multiple times, which is why I wasn't scared, because I'm fucking used to this already. But what was the point that I was getting at? So because I don't call the cops immediately, they can't do anything about it. But if a girl accuses me of rape 10 years ago, they'll arrest me immediately without credible evidence, without my side of the story, without a fair trial. That's fucking bullshit. That's just an excuse so they can't do their jobs. So let's compare the two situations. Believe me, I have plenty. Recess claims that I threatened them, which I didn't, and you can go and watch the video. You can see for yourself that I did it, as that police officer did. Yet they want me arrested for it, and the police officer calls me trying to convince me to stop what I'm doing. Jonathan Dean actually threatens me with bodily harm. He actually tracks me down and repeatedly insinuates violence on later dates. What do the police officers do? Nothing. No law was broken here. He wasn't in the wrong. There's nothing we can do about this. So I'm noticing a thread here because the sergeant also tried to convince me that it was my fault that Jonathan Dean showed up to my job because I made a podcast about him. Let me tell you something. I made that podcast because Dean, for years, has not only been slandering my name, which is something that I'm used to people doing, but he actually cyber stalks my accounts and keeps track of who I hang out with. And then he reaches out to people that I hang out with and tries to convince them that I'm mental or a bad person or turn them against me. Mind you, this dude is in his fucking 40s. So this is a guy who's an actual weirdo, who's an actual stalker, who's actually insinuating violence. They do nothing about it. They try to pin it on me. They said, well, you provoked him into driving all the way across town 20 minutes away from his house to your job and threatening you because you made a podcast where you basically exposed him for his actions. I didn't do anything to Recess. I criticized them. I didn't threaten them. I didn't actually harm them. They're trying to convince me that I'm the bad guy. It seems like no matter what situation I'm in, I'm the bad guy for it. So yeah, this is why I don't fucking like the cops in the city. I can't fucking stand their asses. I don't like FSU PD because they quite literally lied about me and they've got out of their way multiple times to make me look like the bad guy. They got out of their way to track me down for useless shit that really didn't concern them. They literally trespassed me from an entire public campus simply because I was carrying around a creepy doll. They say that I was a threat to campus safety somehow because I was exhibiting odd behavior. So it's odd behavior for someone to carry around a doll as a prank, but it's not odd behavior for their students to eat dog shit out of a solo cup because they believe it will make their football team win. It's not odd behavior for them to do this tradition where they climb in onto the fountains and bust their head open on their 21st birthday. Yeah, okay, that's a bunch of buffoonery. And I don't support CPD either because they quite literally don't do their jobs and they either pick sides or they look for an excuse to not do their fucking job. And I am just fucking sick of their shit. In other news, recently there's a bunch of stalker allegations against me. So I've shared some screenshots of me conversing with girls or interactions I've had with girls. None of them negative, mind you. And people in the comments are saying, "You're not beating the stalker allegations, bro. Yeah, you're weird. You're gonna go to jail for stalking these girls." Let me explain something to you. It is not illegal for a man and a woman to have a conversation. The screenshots that I have shared have been mostly positive interactions. They've been, regardless of the context of the conversations, they've been actual conversations. It wasn't a situation where I was just blatantly harassing a girl or just commenting shit. These are girls that have actually bothered to text me back and have full-on conversations with me. Whether those conversations were negative or positive. Having a conversation with someone is not harassment. Talking to a girl does not mean that you're stalking her. But according to these people, apparently me talking to a girl simply by just acknowledging a girl's existence, that automatically makes me a stalker. I'll give you one example. There's a girl that I used to be friends with. Her name was Lee. And Lee was really big into yoga. She actually invited me to do yoga with her and her friends a few times, but I never accepted the invitation because yoga is so not my thing. And there was one time when I joked with her, I said, "I won't be going, but I'll watch you do yoga." And she said, "No, that's weird." And I said, "Yeah, I know, I'm kidding." I shared a screenshot of part of that conversation. In that conversation, you can tell that she's clearly unbothered by it, because, she's still communicating with me. Some idiot in the comment goes, "You're not beating the stalker allegations, bro. You're gonna go to jail for stalking." Huh? I'm sorry, I was actually friends with this girl at the time, and she doesn't seem to have any negative feelings towards me, at least she didn't at the time. That later changed, which I'll get to that in a second. How the fuck is it illegal to talk to a woman? And that's why dating is so fucked in this generation, because you genuinely, as a man, can't talk to a girl, look at a girl, date a girl, do anything with the girl without possibly being accused of stalking, harassment, rape, one of the many crimes against women. So this is why I don't talk to Lee anymore, actually. So I met Lee through her friend and roommate, Addison, who also used to be my neighbor. When the Annabelle case happened, Addison cut all ties with me. And the day after she cut ties with me, she went to security because my apartment complex had hired their own security company. And she put in a report that I was using the Annabelle doll to harass them, which I wasn't. But the next day I got a knock at my door and security was asking me questions because they got this report from Addison that I was harassing her. And I explained to security that, I thought me and Addison were friends. I told her, Addison and I were friends, or so I thought, because she's going to you and saying that I'm harassing her, so obviously we're not friends. Later, this was probably about a week or so later, I still ran into Addison on the regular because we're neighbors. So we run into each other when we're in the elevator, in the stairways, if I'm using one of the amenities like the pool or the gym, if I'm going to get my mail at the same time she is. We still ran into each other because we live in the same complex. It's impossible to not run into her. Every time I saw her, I ignored her completely. Didn't say a word from her. I tried not to look at her. Didn't want anything to do with this girl. One day I'm sitting there in the lobby hanging out, She comes up to me and she repeatedly says hello to me. I kept my headphones on and ignored me and ignored her. She sent her friends after me, who I didn't know them, but I later found out that they were friends of Addison's. She sent her friends after me one day to ask, hey, are you friends with Addison? And I told them, no, I'm not. I didn't make that decision. Addison did. And Addison acted all offended by like, well, what do you mean you're not friends? I'm sorry. You went to security and you tried to get me in trouble because you claimed that I was harassing you. Number one, I'm not going to be your friend because I feel betrayed. Number two, it would actually be irresponsible of me to be your friend again, because let's look at this realistically. Let's say, okay, so now she's changed her mind. She wants to be friends again. So I say, fine, I'll be your friend again. We'll act like nothing happened. Now that people are actually seeing me interacting with her, now she can go to security and claim that I'm harassing her again. And now it actually makes me look guilty because they can pull up camera footage from the apartment lobby, or they can get reports from other people and they can say, yeah, we've seen Adonis interacting with her. What looks better? Because they don't know the context of it. I could say, oh, but she said she wanted to be friends again. It makes me look like a fucking liar. So what's the responsible thing to do? What makes me look actually innocent and what actually keeps me innocent is if I do exactly what I did, which is ignore her at all costs. Because now if she tries to go to security again and she says, whoa, like Adonis is harassing me, now they can pull up security footage or they can get reports from other people and they can clearly see, or they can be told, yeah, Adonis hasn't interacted with her at all. She said hello to him and he's completely ignored her. Matter of fact, I had a friend of mine actually point out that Addison is the one who was harassing me because I repeatedly ignored her and made it obvious that I wanted nothing to do with her, yet she repeatedly tried to get me to interact with her. She also sent her friends to come up to me and ask if I was friends with Addison and ask me questions about Addison. No, I want you to picture this from the opposite way. If I, as a man, kept interacting with the girl who kept ignoring me, that would be harassment. If I, as a man, sent a group of my friends to go and talk to a girl who clearly wanted nothing to do with me, that would be harassment. But nobody views it when Addison does it that way because she's a girl. And I'm not gonna go out of my way to put in a report about her or all that. I quite literally just ignored her. But my friend actually tried to convince me. He was like, if I were you, I would go to the cops or something and put in a report because what she's doing is quite literally harassment. And while I'm not gonna do all that, I can't deny the fact that my friend is absolutely 100% correct. What's that? What's up, Zoe?
Hey.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of a podcast.
You're good.
I'm not too loud, am I?
No.
So yeah, I don't talk to Lee or Addison's other roommate because of that whole situation. Because while they did nothing to me, this is what I've noticed. A girl's friend group operates like a hive mind in a sense, where they're all connected. They all talk to each other about everything. They all communicate with each other. If you go out on a date with the girl, or if you start hanging out with the girl, if she likes you, she will introduce you to her friend group. And once you meet their friend group, they'll try to talk to you to try and get to know you. When they're not there, they're all going to talk to you, they're all going to talk about you. They're going to talk amongst each other whether or not they like you or they don't like you. They're going to say whether you give off good vibes or bad vibes or creepy vibes. They're going to look up your Instagram. They're going to look up your name on Google. They're going to look up everything about you to try and determine what kind of person you are. They basically work together as detectives when it comes to everything, especially when it comes to guys. So when you break up with the girl or when you're no longer friends with the girl, you're not just saying goodbye to her, you're saying goodbye to her entire friend group. So yeah, so because I don't talk to Addison anymore, I also don't talk to any of her friends. But that has nothing to do with anything that I've sent them or anything as these people on Instagram who clearly don't know the full context are claiming that I'm stalking them. There was a point in time where I actually was friends and I regularly hung out with Addison and both her roommates. And people who are friends with me know that I have a certain way of talking to people where I'm kind of mean, but in a playful way. For example, I called Addison's other roommate a slut right to her face. And she didn't care because she knew I was just messing with her and I didn't mean anything by it. Matter of fact, so there was a group of us all hanging out together, and this one steroid guy who was a fucking simp. As soon as I called this girl a slut, she quite literally laughed it off. I talk to them this way all the time. They knew that I didn't mean anything by it. This asinine little fuck gets up in my face and starts clenching his fists and screaming at the top of his lungs, "You don't call her that. You need to apologize right now. You need to apologize right now." And the girl literally told him to calm down, and she was like, he literally doesn't mean anything by it. Like, he's fine. Like, you need to calm the fuck down. And here's the thing. I think the guy did that to try and impress her, to try and get in her pants. And I'm not going to talk for her, but I would say girls in general are not going to be attracted to guys who do that, who go out of their way to make other guys look bad to try and get in her pants. Because everyone knows this. At this point, if you don't know this, it's because you don't have any common fucking sense. You can't try too hard to get with a girl, because in trying too hard to turn her on, you're actually going to turn her off. There are 3 things that I've noticed that attracts a girl. Number 1 is money. Number 2 is status. Number 3 is confidence. And I have the last 2. I have status and I absolutely have confidence. And I think that's why I have good luck with girls. There was a time period where I was not having good luck with girls because a bunch of them were trying to shut down my podcast. So they started all these rumors. They claimed that I had raped them when I never did that. It was, yeah. And I went through a time period where I just stopped talking to girls altogether because I was fucking sick of their bullshit. I didn't know who I could trust. I didn't know if she was gonna accuse me of rape or harassment or anything of the sort. Number 1, I don't trust girls because they fucking lie for literally no reason or to change the narrative for their own purpose. Number 2, they're stupid and I don't got time for their stupidity. Number 3, I got my own shit to worry on. I would not get to where I am today if I had a girlfriend or if I was worried about chasing some bitch. But I do have status because people know about me, and I absolutely do have confidence. It definitely takes confidence to sit here in front of a camera and talk freely, especially when it comes to controversy or stating your mind. I'm someone who speaks my mind no matter what, and I always advocate for what I believe in, regardless if it makes people hate me, regardless if it makes people talk shit about me, regardless if it's controversial, regardless if it gets the police involved or it results in my account getting banned. And girls who know about me, I think they see that confidence, which is why even if they don't like what I'm saying or if they disagree with what I'm saying, they still like me to some degree. Because nowadays, most of my interactions with girls are actually positive. And I've noticed even the girls who don't like what I have to say or my podcast, they still talk to me. I've had several girls within the past few weeks actively have conversations with me, and they tell me like, yeah, I don't really like your podcast. Yeah, I don't really like what you say. I really don't like when you say this. The main thing that they disagree with is, number 1, is how I talk about women. Stuff that I'm saying right now about women, they won't agree with it because I'm literally exposing them and calling them out. So that's understandable. Number 2, some of them don't agree with my politics. But then they still talk to me, and I'm like, well, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, why are you even bothering to talk to me? And they don't have an answer. And I think the answer is, I think number 1, some of them know that I have status, and I think this is a problem that I've had for quite a while, is I've noticed that a lot of girls that would hang out with me, because this is something that would happen to me, is I would go out and girls would talk to me, and I'd like get their contact information, whether it was Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it was. And when I tried to talk to them outside of the club or wherever, when I tried to talk to them privately, they wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't respond. They wouldn't have a conversation with them. But when I ran into them again in public, they were all over me. And I think what it was is they see that I'm someone who's popular and they want some of that popularity status. So they think to themselves, hey, if I can make people think that I'm Adonis's chick, if people see me with Adonis, then I'll get some of that status for myself. As far as the girls who actually do talk to me outside of public settings, who, especially if they don't agree with what I'm saying, I don't think it's because of status, because you wouldn't need to talk to me outside of a public settings if you only wanted status. I don't think it's for money, because I'm not out here driving around a Lamborghini or wearing a gold watch or anything like that. I quite literally think it is because of confidence. Because I have definitely noticed that girls always go for guys who are more confident versus the guys who are shy and timid. This is why the high school jocks always gets the girls. This is why the bad boys always gets the girls. This is actually why good guys always finish last. And the bad guys, if you want to call it that, or the guys who are disrespectful and rude to girls, they always seem the ones to be winning. They're the ones who girls always talk to, because there's a certain level of confidence. Now, there's a certain point where you're no longer confident, and now you're just egotistical and arrogant. However, a lot of people mistake egotistical and arrogance and confidence as the same thing. In recent news, now this is an example of why I don't fucking talk to girls for the most part, why I don't trust girls. Maddie Kowalski has a friend named Brooke. And Brooke followed me on TikTok. And I thought that was weird, because me and Kowalski don't get along. So I messaged Brooke, I said, aren't you Kowalski's moderator? And she said, yeah, duh. So I said, so why are you following me? She immediately lashes out at me and she says, ew, you're not even my type. It was an accident, you weirdo. And then she blocks me. Cool, so I just asked a simple question. I don't know how that makes me a weirdo for simply asking a girl why she wanted to follow me. I would say she's the weirdo. I wouldn't go as far as to say that she's a weirdo, but that's her language, not mine. But I did think it was surprising to see that a friend of Kowalski's would follow me, because I know that girls talk to each other and girls gossip about everything. And the internet knows me and Kowalski aren't friends. So why would she follow her friend's enemy? It didn't make sense to me. So I simply asked her, why are you following me? Apparently that makes me a weirdo, and ew, you're not even my type. Bitch, I asked why you follow me. I didn't ask you out. What does your type have to do with any of this? Bro, I didn't ask you to go on a date or marry me or hop in my G-Wagon. I quite literally just asked why you followed me. It was a simple question. I wasn't rude to her. Jesus fucking Christ. And it doesn't surprise me, because people hang out with like-minded people, and Kowalski is also a rude bitch. The few interactions that I've had with her, every time I've interacted with her, she's been extremely rude for no reason. She's extremely inconsiderate. Has an extremely closed-off mind. Basically, I tried to get Maddie on this podcast because I had been studying her case for a while, and I was actually convinced that she might be telling the truth. But then later I was convinced that she wasn't. This is something else that I'm getting heat for on Instagram right now, because I will occasionally call out Kowalski for her bullshit. Most recently, she did a live stream where the caption was, "Where's my boyfriend at?" This girl regularly dresses in revealing outfits and bikinis and things of the sort. She regularly goes to clubs and frat houses and bars. And now she's doing a live stream where she's asking, where's my boyfriend at? And I took a screenshot of it and I posted it and I said, tell me this girl's not a hoe. Tell me she's not a fucking hoe. And I got a lot of hate for it. And this is why I ultimately decided, because at first I was convinced that Kowalski might be telling the truth. Because while there are a lot of rape cases or cases like the cases she was in that are fake, that are made up, that are lies, rape, sexual abuse, things of that nature, it is something that does happen. But this is what I see. So she tells her story, right? Then she gets famous out of nowhere. Then she uses that fame to do live streams, to collaborate with other people. She starts dressing promiscuously. She goes to bars and nightclubs. She starts traveling from Gainesville to Tallahassee to other fucking colleges in other states. And I looked at this and I was like, okay, this is something that I can tell you from my own research. Girls who actually get sexually abused, they don't dress promiscuously. They actually start putting on more clothing because they don't want men to... They're basically trying to not draw attention to themselves from creepy men. Her whole story is that she got raped in a frat house, right? But then she keeps getting drunk and going to frat houses. It was like, okay, so either that video that got leaked, it was consensual. I'm not saying that them recording her and releasing that was consensual. I'm saying the sex part itself was consensual. Or she didn't learn her fucking lesson, because I regularly see clips of her getting drunk and going to frat houses. And it's like, bitch, did you not learn your fucking lesson? And then it's like, she's wearing fucking bikini tops in public places. I'm like, I think the whole Kowalski situation was a publicity stunt. When I talk about Kowalski, I'm not trying to be rude about it. I'm basically stating my honest opinion. And I'm stating my honest opinion based off of the facts, based off of what I've seen. So I reached out to Kowalski and invited her on my podcast to talk to her directly, to get a better understanding, to get her side of the story, possibly debate what's actually going on. I would basically just ask her questions about the situation and allow her to speak for herself. I think that's fair. She DMs me back, I would never give someone like you a platform. And basically tries to make me seem like I'm this asinine, aggressive, like, asshole who's just out to get her, when that wasn't the case. And I said, you know, it's funny that your bio says be kind, and yet you're treating me like this. So yeah, as far as her friend goes, yeah, clearly her friend has very similar mannerisms. Hey, why'd you follow me? You're a creep! You're not my type, I'm blocking you. Okay, I literally didn't do anything to you, but okay. Another example is I was going through some old pictures and I had like some screenshots, which is what I've been posting lately. There was this chick, Valeria, that had put me on her close friend story. And I didn't really know this chick. Like, we had met a couple times, but we weren't close. We didn't hang out on a regular basis. I never hooked up with her. So I asked her, why am I on your close friends list? I wasn't bothered by it. It was just a genuine question, because I was like, I've only met this girl maybe twice, and we didn't even have a full-on conversation. And she said, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'll take you off it. Why are you making such a big deal about it? And I told her, I'm not making a big deal about it. Like, I don't care if I'm on it or not. I was just curious to know, like, why did you put me on it? What made you want to put me on it? And every other text, she was like, stop making a big deal about it. It was an accident, okay? Like, I took you off it. I'm like, calm down, ho. Like, I'm not upset that you put me on your close friends list. If you want to leave me on there, if you want to take me off, I don't care. I was just genuinely curious to know why you put me on your best friends list. And in the end, I told her, I think I ended up blocking her, and I told her, like, all right, I am cutting you off because this is not the kind of person that I want to fucking hang out with, talk to, let alone pursue a relationship with. You know, when I was growing up, going into adulthood, a lot of these girls my age, they're super attractive. They've got perfect hair, perfect face, perfect physique, like they have it all. And so many of them were complaining, "Oh, I can't find a good boyfriend. I can't find a guy to stay with me." I wonder why. I fucking wonder why. Because I started noticing that a majority of these girls started treating guys the same way in the examples that I've presented to you in this podcast. It's like, no wonder you're fucking single. Because you're extremely attractive in every realm of human endeavor, minus your fucking character. There is literally no reason why you shouldn't be able to find a good man. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to keep a long-term boyfriend. But these girls, they hop from guy to guy, they cheat on their boyfriends, they have a new boyfriend every 6 months. Do you know how many years I've gone where a girl that I'm actively talking to in a flirtatious manner, posts Happy Valentine's Day with her and some chick, and I'm like, wait a minute, so you're posting Happy Valentine's Day while you're with some guy, but you flirt with me every day, and I've also seen you flirt with other guys. Real men used to go to war. Yeah. Because back then, men's wives weren't fucking hoes. You know what happened? If a girl was having sex with another guy back then, it wasn't because it was consensual. What would happen, this is the reality of war, is you would be off fighting in some war, right? And your enemies would come to your town and they would rape your wives. Nowadays, girls are claiming that guys rape them, yet they continue to dress with their fucking boobs out. And they keep going to clubs where really the people who go to nightclubs regularly are not good people. Like, now the dynamic has changed completely. Back then, women actually dressed modestly. Back then, women actually dedicated themselves to one fucking guy. But now, women just they hoe around for the sake of it. I'll give you another example because for some reason, there's been a lot of examples of girls this week who have just been treating me in this. I don't even have words to describe it. Okay, so in this situation, there was a black girl that was flirting with me. And I wasn't interested. And I made it clear to her that I wasn't interested in her. And she kept flirting with me. She kept trying to make advances with me. I'm like, bitch, you're fat, you're black, you're ugly. I'm not interested. Leave me the fuck alone. Wouldn't leave me the fuck alone, bro. And I was like, bitch, this is literally sexual harassment. Because if it was the other way around, if I got flirtatious with a girl and she immediately shut it down and she asked me to stop and I kept making advances, I will quite literally go to jail or at the very least get confronted by someone, whether it's an officer, a father, a boyfriend, for sexual harassment. But when girls do it to me, it's like, oh, no one bats an eye, she's a woman. This is why I don't listen to girls, and this is why I don't listen to society. We live in a society where you as a man can go to the police station and complain that a girl sexually assaulted you, and they will laugh you out of the police station. But you as a woman can go to the police officers and make up a story about a guy who raped you 10 years ago, and they'll arrest the guy with no credible evidence, without getting his side of his story, without a fair trial. And then America tries to convince us that there's this innocent until proven guilty. And I think that's starting to come back with Trump in office. I'm noticing there's not so many cases, there's not so many fake rape cases anymore. There's not so many cases of men being treated unfairly. There are people like the courthouse and the judge and the police are actually looking at both sides of the story instead of just assuming that the girl is telling the truth simply because she's a girl. That being said, the problem is not completely fixed. There are still people out there who believe girls simply because they're girls. And that's why, see, this is bad because when a girl actually gets raped, no one believes her. Because they're used to girls simply making it up just for the hell of it. There was one argument when I had with Kowalski where I was calling her out for it, and I told her that girls like her are why no one believes rape cases anymore. And she tried to say, oh, no one believes rape cases because people like you always put them down. And it's like, no, it's not that people like me put them down. It's that people like you say you got raped, but then you're out clubbing every weekend and sleeping with random guys. Bro, she was literally in my city. There's a video of her making out with some random guy she met in a bar. Oh, I got raped. Anyway, here's a bunch of videos of me hoeing around from city to city, from state to state. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. And so for all the people who are saying that, like, I'm wrong or that I'm gonna unfollow you because, like, you just hate women and you're wrong and you're just an incel, fuck you. I didn't get to where I am today by listening to the opinions of others. The stuff that I talk about, the things that I say, this is shit based off of my own experience. This is shit that I've seen with my own eyes. This is shit based off of the way I've been treated. I don't cater to the public eye. I'm not one of those influencers where I'm going to change my opinions or say or do things for the sake of being liked, for the sake of gaining followers, for the sake of being views. I'm me. And the only person that I will ever be is me. There is nobody on the planet that can convince me to be anything but myself. So I will always speak my mind. I will always speak about what I believe to be true. I am never going to fucking change my opinions or change my views because some idiot on the internet behind his screen is going, you're an incel, you hate women, Because these strangers that I've never met and who have absolutely no impact on my life whatsoever, they're over here telling me that I'm wrong, that I'm an incel for having these opinions about women. I'm like, so I'm just pointing out women's hypocrisy. For example, the girl who quite literally sexually harassed me. But if no one cares, however, if I did the same thing to her, I'd be in fucking jail. I'm just calling out girls like Kowalski who claim they've been raped, yet they hoe around from state to state. And there's countless other examples of me calling out girls for their hypocrisy, for their double standard, which I'm fucking sick of, for their bullshit. I'm basing this off of my own experience. I'm basing this off of shit that I've been through, off of shit that has happened to me personally. I've had my reputation destroyed because of women who claim that I raped them. I've had people who have cut me off or who don't want to talk to me because some woman spread a rumor about me that absolutely was not true. I've been almost placed in cuffs because some girl made up a police report because she simply didn't like my podcast. You think I'm going to change my opinion because some idiot on the internet says I'm an incel for stating my opinions based off of the facts or my experiences? Fuck no. I'm not Jack Doherty, bro. If you wanna follow someone who is like Jack Doherty, who will do whatever the top comment says, who will do whoever sends me a donation, who will, once we get to this many followers, I'll do this. There's several people you can go follow. You can follow Jack Doherty, you can follow Cliff Vicular, Sophie Rain, Piper Raquel. The list goes on and on and on. I am not one of these people. And I'm noticing, mostly on Instagram, because that is the platform that I am most active on, there's a lot of people who started following me, and they are now unfollowing me because they disagree with my opinions and my beliefs, and they're trying to tell me that I'm changed. They're trying to convince me to change by calling me things like an incel or a misogynist. So I have one message for my followers. I appreciate those who show support and follow my podcast and listen to my podcast. But I did not get into podcasting or social media for the sake of getting followers and likes. I did not get into this line of business for the sake of being liked, for the sake of getting attention. If I wanted to do that, I would have either A, been a dumbass like these Jack Doherty motherfuckers, or B, I would have stopped this a long fucking time ago. Because for a long fucking time, I've been putting up with people who hate me simply because of the shit that I say on my podcast. So to everyone who's watching this right now, if you want to follow me because you like my content, because you find it funny, because you agree with what I'm saying, that's great. If you want to just bitch and complain that I should change my views because you want to simp for girls, fuck you. Get the fuck off my page. Unfollow me right fucking now. At the time of this recording, I'm a little over 900 followers on Instagram. I will say shit that will get me all the way down to 0 followers. And I will still do my shit. And I will still say what I want to say. And I will still speak my mind. I do not fucking care. I do not care about any of you dumbass, entitled, lazy motherfuckers. Y'all live in a fucking fantasy world. Y'all don't exist outside of the internet. Your whole life is on a fucking TikTok screen. Your opinions mean nothing to me. So this is my final suggestion to you. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, you're more than welcome to debate it. You're more than welcome to put it in the comments, whatever. But to aggressively come at me, you're a misogynist. You need to stop what you're doing. I'm gonna unfollow you because you're an incel. Do it. Unfollow me right now. I'll go from 900 followers back to 84. I do not fucking care. I'm not in this for you motherfuckers. I'm in this for me. Fuck you hoes. For you to sit here and say that I'm the one in the wrong, it's very clear that you haven't been put through what I've been put through. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking the way you're talking. So fuck you, fuck your opinions, fuck your entire existence. You should be Thanos snapped out of this entire universe. That being said, that's the end of today's episode. Thank you for watching. This is the Adonis Podcast.